I've got kind of some things that we'll step through here specifically, and then of course, looking forward to any questions that you may have. And, one of the first things is, why calendars? Why do we use calendars? How do we oftentimes use them? And I think this is probably a view that most of you guys are pretty familiar with, kind of a month view, or maybe even a week view of all of the things that you've got going on within your schedule. And, these can be helpful, but oftentimes, we use this for kind of seeing, kind of in the very short term of what we've got coming up, or things that we've done in the past. But there can be a lot of things that can slip through the cracks in terms of planning and scheduling and utilizing our time most efficiently, that we're going to kind of take a look at here in how we use DayBack. And one of the things that I will be showing you today is how we use DayBack, within SeedCode. How do we walk the walk and talk the talk, right? So what I want to do is first of all, take a look at one of my very favorite views, and it's one that a lot of our customers use. And as we dive into this, actually, basically, there's very few databases that are out there that do not have some sort of dates associated with records, whether it's invoices or whether it's, to-do items or scheduling events or appointments, that sort of thing. There's, usually some sort of date data. And while it can be really handy to look at that in reports and in FileMaker records and that sort of thing, having a visual representation of that data can be really meaningful and impactful. So this is an example of our resource scheduling view. And what you'll see across the top are, our different people. You can think of resources as anything that has maybe a finite time, right? Like, a person can only be in one place at one time, typically. Zoom has helped that a little bit. Rooms that may need scheduled, vehicles, equipment, that sort of thing, that you want to make sure that you're not over-scheduling, over-promising and under-delivering, or where you're leaving a bunch of gaps where you could be utilizing that resource and it's just sitting around not making any money. So here we've got, we can see what each person has going on. This is a 4-day view, and we can see right away that Jim on Friday has a conflict because we've got these events overlap. So we can very easily then start to reschedule some of those events around and make sure that we're, kind of scheduling those resources appropriately. Kind of cool. We can also, let me hold down the shift button. We can also reschedule events, assign them maybe to a different person or to a different resource, maybe shift them down in time, and be able to very quickly manage what our individual schedules are looking like there. One of the things that you may have seen is when you click on one of these events, it brings up, let's see what's happening here. Uh-oh. Well, isn't that just usually how it goes during a demo? That is not actually anything I've ever seen before.
And it's like a bug that's tracked with certain operating systems. You might be able to just reload.
Yeah. Yeah. How interesting. There we go. Yeah, a little reload there. I wonder if Zoom may be impacting a little bit too. Kind of a standard behavior is to bring up this popover information here, where we can then go in and make changes to these events directly here from the popover. And you can also, instead of using the popover, open up a FileMaker layout. So if this is a bit restrictive for you, or you want to give your yourself or your customers a more customized view of the data, you can open up, let me see if I can find one of these. We've got these set up as to-dos. So here would be an example of clicking on an event and having our own FileMaker layout that we can then, drag and drop whatever fields that we want on here, put in our own custom scripting, anything that you may need there. So you've got kind of the flexibility of the stock popover, or being able to create your own FileMaker layouts for viewing that data and interacting with that data. One of the things that is really important that I want to point out here, I think is sometimes a little bit confusing, is that basically all we're doing here is looking at our FileMaker data. So this is just a visual UI representation of a FileMaker table or tables, and just displaying that data in a more visual way. So there's nothing kind of fancy about where this data is coming from. We'll talk a little bit more about other sources that you can actually pull from outside of FileMaker, but these are just FileMaker records that DayBack is just displaying in a kind of a more graphical UI, so to speak, for it. One of the other things that you can do here in the popover is add custom fields. So, these are the stock fields that you can kind of go in and edit. But if you want to track and kind of have easy access to other information just directly here from the popover, you can add additional fields here so that you can then go in and, have your users make modifications there. And that's saved directly to, again, that FileMaker record that we're looking at. We can also do things like filter. Let's see here. What's a good one here? We can filter just our paused events. We can look at our in progress. So the colors are associated with the statuses here. So you can very quickly begin to drill down to the information that you need to see to kind of pull out the most pertinent information for the information that you're trying to look for, kind of the challenge that maybe you're trying to address. One of the other things is kind of customization around being able to display different information. So on some of these events, you'll see that there's actually icons here. So we know the resource that this event is assigned to is Dr. Smith. We know the status based on its color, but maybe, this icon is now displaying a third level of information that could be really beneficial, such as, maybe a high priority or urgent or past due, or, a specific type of job that's being done that you want to draw particular attention to. So, so this is one view. One of the other views that I want to take a look at is horizon view. And this view is pretty cool because it has, you have the ability of being able to look out very long periods of time. So you not only know what it is that you've got immediately in front of you, but you can also start to see what's coming up in the future. You can look at this quarterly, you can look at it, for a 6-month view, a year view, et cetera. We're looking at stock data. We've just got about 30 days of info in here. We can see that we've got, these tasks that are coming up in 69 days. So, as we know, sometimes, we may have a delivery date, but that doesn't mean that we start working on it that day. Maybe we're, we need to be starting to plan for it, and we know we've got 69 days before that deadline is coming up for us. One of the other things that you'll notice down at the bottom here is kind of some charting behavior. And this is hugely powerful, and I think it's one of the most underutilized pieces of DayBack. It's not only available for this view, but for a number of the other views that we have as well. And what we're actually doing is we're charting data, in this case, the invoice amount. So if you remember in our custom fields, we had this invoice amount field here. So we're charting that invoice amount, and this orange line that's on here is representing a threshold. So let's say that we want to, our company's target is to have $6,000. So this value is set at $6,000 currently. We want to have $6,000 of work each day. And so just very easily, I can see, oh, we're actually over capacity here. We're exceeding our target here. But here we may have some work to do. That is actually the weekend. You know, we can see here coming up, you know, in about 3 weeks that we have, you know, we need to start increasing those invoice amounts, increasing those sales in order to meet our target. So this can give a very quick graphical representation of some of our data. And I use this every single day, which we'll show you in kind of how we use DayBack within SeedCode for tracking our projects that are coming in and being able to see when we can schedule incoming projects for customers when they contact us about you know, projects that they would like us to help them out with. So this is helpful. So, you know, we're looking at all these installation items and we can see we're over. However, we can even get more into deeper information here by breaking this out by status. So here we can see we've actually got a bunch of events in here that are actually deferred. Those actually aren't ones that are going towards our target, right? Those are have been deferred for some reason. The green ones are really the ones that you know, I want to be looking at for my goals. And you can see that changes this graph down here significantly in terms of how I am, you know, how I'm working towards my target of $6,000 a day. Still doing pretty good here, but, you know, kind of in here, we're a little bit close, et cetera. So you can break that information in that graph out, you know, into kind of more finite details to, again, be able to really dive in and into your data. And this can be stuff that's easy to miss in just kind of a number table type thing, or just looking at records or a sub-summary report. Having this graphical representation that you can just look at in a moment's notice can oftentimes give you a quick, you know, kind of a snapshot of what some of those important numbers and targets are. So that's the, you know, kind of little spiel on analytics and encouraging people to use that for sure. So what I want to look at next is, you know, kind of as a FileMaker developer, how can we go in and modify this? So we're looking at a very stock copy of DayBack right now. When you download the free trial, this is what you're going to get. You know, everything here is all stock, including some of those icons. We've got examples of those that are in the stock copy so that you can use that for, you know, kind of a springboard for your own customizations on it. So let's go ahead and take a look a little bit behind the scenes here. And we're going to go into administrator settings. And we'll see if my internet is cooperating. I was telling the gals at the very beginning of the call that I live way out in the country, hence the horses. And sometimes my internet gets a little bit slow on Zoom calls, especially when the kids are in school and that sort of thing. So I apologize for kind of some of the slow performance there. But here we are in the back end of DayBack, and you know, there's really a lot of customization that you can do here. And one of the fantastic things is we've got lots and lots of documentation that you can dig into yourself for customizing it for yourself. So let's take a look at one item here. So we're going to go over to adding custom CSS. And I have to say, you know, I am very much a FileMaker developer. I am not a CSS or JavaScript or HTML developer by any stretch of the imagination. I'm slowly learning it. You know, kind of through my experience with DayBack and the different examples that we have and stuff, this has really helped accelerate my learning in these areas. So here's, you know, custom CSS. So as I said, here in the stock copy, there's a couple of examples. So these are the examples for those icons. So you could, you know, kind of use this as a starting point to create your own ones. And if you wanted to, you know, create your own CSS, oh, that jumped it over to a different window here. Let me pull this across. I've got too many browsers open. when you hit that little question mark, it just brings you over to some common customization. So this is, pretty well just strictly, copy and paste that you can do here. So I'm going to just scroll down here. And can I remove the start time from displaying? We'll just copy that. And we'll move this back out of the way. And we're going to paste that. And we're going to save it. And now when we go back over to the calendar, let's go back over to the resource view, for instance. Let's get over here. You'll see that the times are now no longer displaying in here, just by simply removing that out of the CSS, and very simple, easy customization that as a developer that we can go in and make into the back end of DayBack. So there's other customizations that you can do here. So we just looked at CSS. Another one that we can do is to add actions. So we have two different actions. There's event actions and then button actions. So we'll take a look at an event action. This is going to be where your JavaScript skills start coming into play. And again, we have lots and lots of examples of that. So I just clicked on that button, and event actions can happen like when you create an event on the calendar, when you click on it, when you hover on it, before you save it, as you save it, when you delete it. So you can then really kind of take control of what's happening to that data, directly from DayBack. So let's look at an example here. So prevent popovers from displaying. Let's look at prevent dragging from changing an item's time. So maybe we want, everybody to be able to view the data on the calendar, and maybe they should be able to update the status of something, but you really don't want them messing around with the date and time of the event, because that's set. You've already committed that to your customer. So this is a before event save. We're just going to copy and paste that JavaScript in. Again, it gives you a springboard so that if you're not a JavaScript developer, you've got some examples that you can maybe start working from or even learning from. And we're going to go ahead and save that. Let's go back over here. And now you'll see that when I try and drag that event, it's automatically just popping back into place. It's now preventing the users from changing that time. They can change resource, they can change, they can change the status of that event, but they are not able to drag the time because of that event action that we've incorporated there into the calendar. And if you decide that that isn't quite what you want it to be doing, we can just then step back in there and remove that action, delete it, and now it's back to stock behavior on that. Another way that you can customize is by adding button actions. Again, we've got examples here. I'm not going to actually add one in right at this moment. But in the popover, you can add buttons into kind of a little custom sidebar drawer, I guess we call it here. And this could be things like scheduling Zoom meetings, which I'll show you in kind of our working copy of that. We schedule all of our Zoom meetings just directly from the event in DayBack, all sorts of different things, tracking packages, sending an email, etc. You could just give the users a button to click on the event itself, and have an action. This could be a FileMaker script that runs here as well. That when they hit that button, that it performs some sort of FileMaker script that should take place there. So there's really a lot of ways to customize things kind of behind the scenes and get it set up just right for you. One other thing that I think is oftentimes used, it is very helpful. This is particularly helpful if you have users that are in a different country. It will translate the DayBack interface into different languages, and also you can go in and customize what words are used. So for example, resources, maybe we want this to be, say, staff instead, right? Because resources is kind of maybe confusing for my particular user. So anytime, instead of DayBack displaying resources, and it's kind of a long list, sometimes you have to kind of scroll through here to find all of them. We can just simply say, nope, we don't want to use resource, we want to use the word staff or doctor, or whatever that that information may be. And I can very simply go in and change that. I probably didn't get all of the spots, but over here, I know we got this one. So here's staff filters now instead of resource filters, and we've got new staff here instead of new resource. I didn't hit this button in those translations, but that one's definitely available as well. So again, you can kind of go in and customize the vocabulary or the in-speak for the industry that you may be in order to make it more familiar and comfortable environment for the users. And then one of the last things kind of in this piece that I just wanted to show you was the bookmarks. And you may have noticed that I've been using them, kind of throughout this demo, is that you can save, kind of particular filters, views that you, and even the analytics setting that you want to be able to go to very quickly. Maybe you use them a lot, so you can go up to bookmark and just click on that, and that will automatically drop you to that view with those filters preset for you, and as I mentioned, even with those analytics values all set there, so that you can very quickly jump around to your most important views or your most important information. So a manager may have one set of bookmarks that they look at on a day-to-day basis, where a user or a field technician might have another set of bookmarks that they're looking at that are filtered down to the specific information that they need to see for their day-to-day work. The last thing is that you can also share this with people that don't even have FileMaker. They don't have FileMaker, they don't have a license to your FileMaker, they don't have access to WebDirect, you don't want them in your FileMaker file. Maybe you want to share this information with a customer. Let's see if we do, let's do that. Here, we'll do the installation one again here. We've got this text filter over on the right, or over on the left, that also you can just type in anything freeform that you want and be able to filter down on that. So let's say, we only want to show the ready installation events. We can go in and we can bookmark or share this, and we're going to say, this is demo. I want to make this public, and I want this to expire in 2 days. And I only wanted to show them data through May and create that. So once that gets created, it gives us a URL. I could now email this URL to all of you. You could open it up in your web browser, and it's going to display this data. It's read-only. You have no access whatsoever to my back-end FileMaker data. You cannot edit anything, but you can see the information. So maybe if these were the jobs that were assigned to a subcontractor, I could send that subcontractor their schedule for the month of April, and they would now have this information totally outside of the FileMaker environment, but still making sure that they're provided with the most useful and pertinent information. And they do not have access to anything that was filtered out, right? So I just filtered it down to installation, to this particular status. They can go in here and you'll see, they have no other statuses that they can even select. They are restricted down to just this information that I've chose to share with them through this URL that they can access on their browser. So pretty cool, way of sharing information that can be very valuable for updating clients about, when you're going to be out to their property, or, when you're going to be working on a project for a particular customer, and keeping them in the loop in a safe way that doesn't open up your FileMaker, security and data integrity and that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and close out some of these windows here. Right. So the other thing that, let's just kind of go back to one of our bookmarks here. Yeah, my internet is being slow. There we go. So, we've kind of looked behind the scenes within the settings and stuff, and there is some CSS there, and there's some JavaScript and stuff. But as a FileMaker developer, how else is this kind of interacting and that sort of thing? And what I want to do is turn on Script Debugger. And we're just going to go ahead and move an event here. So we're kind of pulling back the curtain. So the JavaScript is sending a bunch of parameters. I know that's probably a little bit hard to see. I don't know if I can zoom in, but this is going to be more concept than looking at specific lines. But every time we move an event or interact with an event, it hits this create, edit, delete event script. And within here, it's just setting basically all the values that were passed from the JavaScript, but you can go in here and hardwire information. You can put in subscripts into here. You can, really customize this so that, if a resource gets changed and you need to send an email out, you could just put that directly into this script. So you've really got, still full customization capacity through FileMaker scripting, if that's kind of your preferred methodology, which it is definitely for me. You've still got access to that, and a lot of room for being able to make this just perfect for whatever the workflows and scenario is that you have. It was kind of funny. We had a customer write into our support queue asking about, when you create a new event, you'll see that it pops up with this new event title in here automatically. And they said, I don't want it to say new event. I want it to say something else. How do I do that? And kind of just through some back-end conversation, I came up with a way to do it in FileMaker, which is in that create, edit, delete script, right? Like if this is, if the title is new event, change it to something else. Casey, our support guy, came up with a way to do it in JavaScript through a custom action. And John said, well, you can do that in the translation as well, right? Like in the settings. So there was like 3 different ways to tackle the very same question. Not, one of them's not more right than the other. It's just different approaches and different levels of flexibility that, really you can go in and, make the changes that you might need. So I always kind of think about that a little bit and kind of laugh when I think about that conversation that happened. It's like, well, I could do it with FileMaker. No, I could do it with translate or with settings. I could do it with JavaScript. And, it really just kind of comes down to where your comfort level is and that sort of thing. So it's pretty cool. The other thing that is really exciting about DayBack for FileMaker 19 that was not available before in the previous versions of DayBack for FileMaker is the ability to display other sources of information. So let's go back into settings and you'll be able to see those. You may have seen them kind of as we were popping in and out of here. So you can display Basecamp information, FileMaker, of course, FileMaker through custom web publishing, which isn't used so often in this case. This is kind of a fallback to our DayBack Online. Google Calendars, Google Sheets, and Office 365. So it's pretty cool to not only be able to see maybe your work calendar, your FileMaker data that's being stored, but then to be able to also see your personal Google Calendar side by side for being able to check for conflicts and that sort of thing. And the kids must be downloading a video from their teacher. So if we let's go back over here. So you can, toggle on your different Google calendars. Let's go to July. So I've just got here, let's do month. That's going to be much faster. And let's clear all of our filters. So here's our coming from our Google Calendar. All of our FileMaker data is turned off right now. All we're looking at is our Google Calendar and this particular calendar of holidays in the United States. And you can see that information is all populated there within DayBack, so that when I turn on my FileMaker data, I can go, holy cow, this is Easter Monday. Maybe that's a day off for us. And we've got, several different jobs that are assigned there. All right, so you can bring in that other information, and you can. So here's my personal Google Calendar, and I can create an event in my personal Google Calendar. So if I were to open up my Google Calendar right now, I would see that event. I can move that around. So I can basically manage my Google data right here again from DayBack, from one source, so to speak, as we're doing this. So Office 365 is another option. Right now, Office 365 is just read-only, but we're getting very close to having that have the same functionality as the Google Calendar as well, where you will have full, write capability for that. So be kind of keeping an eye out for that. One of the other source options was Google Sheets, and I posted this in the Slack channel. I don't know if you guys kind of had a chance to look at this, but this is an example of a timeline that our team put together of the women's suffrage timeline, and all of this data resides in Google Sheets. So basically, just copying and pasting into a Google spreadsheet, and then pulling that data here into DayBack. So it's very easy to be able to kind of create, a source data just kind of in that Google sheet to bring across. This also kind of highlights some other pretty cool things, like the ability to do HTML, with links and stuff directly within the popovers and that sort of thing. But that's just kind of behind the scenes of what that source data actually is. This is actually not in FileMaker. It's actually just coming from Google Sheets, which can also provide a lot of flexibility in terms of what you may be doing. All right. We're going to do this next piece really quick because I know we're kind of starting to run into time here, and I do want to leave an opportunity for questions. But I just want to show this real quick just to maybe get you guys, if you haven't already played with add-ons or had an opportunity to play with an add-on, just to kind of show the magic of that real quick, because DayBack is available as an add-on. If my internet we may just skip this if it doesn't want to load. There we go. So I'm just going to open up the stock contacts database here. We can see here in Database Manager, you know, we've just got a couple of relationships, a couple of tables here. We can go over, no, let's not cancel, let's go ahead and save. You know, if we look at script database or the script workspace, there's not much there. We're going to go in. We're going to go to add-ons. We're going to add add-on. There's DayBack. We're going to choose that. And we are now done. If we go back in here into Manage Database, there's a bunch more tables that are all related now to DayBack. And if we go over to our relationships, all of the DayBack relationships and everything are right in there. It's brought across sample data, all of the layouts and everything that are needed. So if you go over to the DayBack calendar, once that loads up, and this sample data is a little bit prior to the one that we were just looking at. Let's see if there's some, there's our data. We now are ready to start customizing within our own database with all of the relationships and everything all set up and ready to go. So pretty cool. If you guys haven't had a chance to play with add-ons at all, this might be a fun one to kind of experiment with a little bit and take it for a bit of a test drive. We've got some good documentation on the steps of that, because you do have to kind of drop a few things onto your computer before adding that add-on, but it's a very simple process. You can do it in a matter of minutes for sure. So how do we use this for here at SeedCode? This is a kind of a somewhat filtered down view of our Google shared calendar that we use as a team. I've got it kind of narrowed down to just a few of us, so we're not giving away any customer, anything, you know, customer specific stuff. But, you know, we use this to, as I mentioned, being able to schedule our, create our Zoom meetings. You can delete and start Zoom just directly from here. So here are some of those custom buttons that I had mentioned earlier when we were looking in settings. We use this to make sure that, you know, what our other team members are doing, so that, you know, if someone has several calls scheduled, I'm not going to ping him in Slack to ask him a question, because I, you know, kind of see what he's got going on there, that we're not double booking Zoom calls and that sort of thing. So this is, you know, just kind of a overall team awareness. But as a developer and as a project manager, I want to show you this as well. So as a developer, one of the things that we have as a team are kind of target goals of billable time each day, or total for the week. And so this orange line is my target of 4 hours of billable time a day. And I can very quickly see where my billable time is in terms of both on a day-to-day basis or as my total hours for the week. So I am looking at this constantly, both for myself and for the team, of seeing how we are tracking towards our billable hours. And, you know, maybe do we need to make an adjustment with a customer in terms of when a delivery is going to happen? How are we doing on that particular project, et cetera? So I could even take this down, show me, this is for one particular project. This is how much, I put in 3 hours into this one particular project this week so far. So being able to kind of keep track of that is something that we use on a day-to-day basis for our development team. One of the other ones that we do, and this is going to look a little bit funny because I've got this is horizon view, but I've collapsed it so that because we do have customer information in here, and I did not want to share that. So that's why it's kind of this weird blank screen. But what this is tracking is our number of hours that we've got promised for projects and our target number for each week. So you can see, so if a customer calls and says, hey, I have a 15-hour project, when can you get me in? I can look at this very quickly and say, it's not going to be until the beginning of March. I don't have any capacity until then because I'm at and actually a little bit over capacity here for this week, which I'm going to need to address. And so I can very quickly be able to make sure that we're not overscheduling the team or a particular person, and also identifying where the gaps are, where we need to bring in other projects and have them, and bring those hours up based on the threshold that we're looking at. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, this is something that I'm looking at probably 3 or 4 or 5 times a day as a project manager, especially interacting with customers and scheduling projects and that sort of thing. I've got a very quick, easy visual reference to know exactly where we are in terms of that. So that's kind of the general spiel. 30-day free trial. If you want to, give it a try, you're welcome to. And if you need to extend that trial out, we can oftentimes do that for you as well. This page also has the pricing. It's just dayback.com, pretty straightforward. It also has the pricing on it. Lots of examples as we kind of saw for the customizations and that sort of thing. And we're always happy to answer questions, and so don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Any questions?
Cool. I know we have a couple here that came from through Mentimeter, so I'll ask them. Just a reminder, you can ask through Mentimeter and look what the other ones ask. And I forgot to mention before but this is being recorded. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Does the shared URL update in real time, or is it static calendar info?
That's a great question. Yeah, so the shared URL, if you update the events within DayBack, it will update the share. If you update the events in like a FileMaker layout, it will not update that share. So, you can kind of go in and manually update. You can go in and manually update. I'm sorry, I've got a call coming in. Ignore. You can manually update those shares if you are doing a lot of stuff over, kind of within FileMaker itself or within scripting. But if you, drag the event or, change the information in the popover, that's all going to automatically update that share.
Okay, cool. Then a next question, does this have to run on a server to do a shared URL and Google integration?
No, it does not. So the example file that I've been actually using today, I need to get that out of the way, my time tracking. The sample file that I've been using today, this is all local on my desktop. This is actually not hosted on a server. One thing I did not mention is that one of the other cool things is DayBack does now work seamlessly in WebDirect, as is out of the box for FileMaker 19, if you have a 19 server. So that would be, if you were wanting to use WebDirect, obviously it would need to be on the server, but everything that you've seen today has been totally within a local file.
Okay, cool. Okay, and then here's the question. Why would I choose the bolt-on file over the add-on option and vice versa?
Yeah, so I think what the intention of that question is, correct me if I'm wrong, is, so there's 2 options with the file. You can either link the file, so you have your main database, and then you just link it as an external data source, and you link DayBack to it. Or you basically embed DayBack into your main file. Both of them are perfectly valid options, and I actually kind of prefer to keep it as a linked file. But both of them, it's a little bit about, kind of developer preference, about, kind of that sort of thing. Some people are, definitely like just like one file to be dealing with. I kind of like them linked because then I keep all of the data in my main file, and then DayBack is just a UI file that I can easily kind of switch out if I need to. But both are perfectly, viable options, and it's really just personal preference, whether you embed it through the add-on so that it's a part of your main file, or whether you, link it as an external data source. Both are perfectly valid, and it's really just kind of your specific use case and preferences. I hope that answered the question.
Sounds good to me. I don't know. But yeah, any other questions that people have?
Cool. Well, we hit the timing. That's good. So,
Yes. Cool.
Yeah, and I just really encourage you to, if you have any questions that come up afterwards, or, you don't really want to kind of do it in a public forum or whatever, please don't hesitate to reach out to us here at SeedCode, support@seedcode.com. We're happy to answer, general questions about DayBack. If you have kind of the older version of DayBack and are interested in going to DayBack for 19, we can help answer any questions about that. Or if you, have customization questions, what would the CSS look like if I wanted to do, this type of thing? We're more than happy to help answer and field those questions and be a resource for you to help set you up for success.
Very cool. Great. Okay, I'm going to take over the screen myself. Don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. Stop share.
Okay, cool. Yep. Well, thank you, Anne, for that great presentation. That was very cool to see all of that. And thank all of you for coming today. Appreciate that. So, a small note. I know that Context Podcast is looking for women to talk on their shows. So if you're interested in that, you can go try and volunteer for that, to speak on that. Next couple things is the next WITfm virtual meetup is on February 16th. It's on the 5 languages of appreciation at work. So, sort of around Valentine's Day theme. They're the same authors that did the 5 love languages if you're interested. So sure to get that on calendars. And then the date after that is International Women's Day on March 8th. That's still in planning stages, but we are planning big stuff for that soon. And you'll hear more about that pretty soon. Cool. So thank you again all for attending. Subscribe to our email list at that. You can also look at this event or other events in our WITfm calendar on the website. And then there's a survey that I have, these will all be sent out in the email afterwards. So again, thank you all for coming. I hope you have a good day. See you later. Bye.